we could never predict his behavior on a given day.
Jerry Lewis became one of the most recognizable entertainers of the 20th century, earning fame as a singer, actor, director, and master of physical comedy. His exaggerated facial expressions, energetic slapstick routines, and unforgettable comic timing made him a household name. Performances in classics like The Nutty Professor and his many television appearances helped define his career, while his unique speech patterns and childlike comedic style set him apart from every other performer of his era. His legendary partnership with Dean Martin also became one of the most successful comedy acts in entertainment history. For decades, Lewis was celebrated as a beloved Hollywood icon, but long after his career peaked, serious allegations emerged that caused many fans to reevaluate his legacy.
Well, you know, there was all those rumors about our breaking up, and then when I started the show and you weren't here, I believed it.
In 2022, a Vanity Fair investigation featured interviews with several women who had worked with Lewis during the 1960s. They described experiences involving alleged sexual misconduct, harassment, and verbal abuse. One former co-star, who remained anonymous, claimed Lewis assaulted her during a film production while serving as the film's director. Another actress alleged that he repeatedly humiliated and belittled her on set. These accounts painted a dramatically different picture from the public image Lewis had carefully maintained throughout his career. While he was widely admired for his comedy and charitable work, the allegations raised difficult questions about the man behind the laughter. The article also highlighted the culture that existed throughout Hollywood during that era, where many performers felt unable to challenge powerful stars. Several women explained that they stayed silent because they feared losing future work or damaging their careers. The accusations remain deeply controversial and continue to shape discussions about Jerry Lewis's legacy. Like many stories from Hollywood's golden age, his life was far more complicated than the image audiences saw on television and movie screens. Today, we're taking a closer look at that remarkable yet complicated journey, from his humble beginnings, his rise to international stardom, and the friendships that defined his career, to the personal struggles and controversies that continue to surround his name. Along the way, we'll separate the public legend from the private man and explore how one of comedy's biggest stars became one of its most debated figures. Jerry Lewis was born on March 16, 1926, in Newark, New Jersey, into a Jewish family with deep roots in entertainment.
He wanted nothing to do with me.
His father, Daniel "Danny" Levitch, worked as a master of ceremonies and performer, while his mother, Rachel, was a radio pianist. Even as a teenager, Lewis loved making people laugh, although his mischievous behavior frequently landed him in trouble. He was expelled from one school, later dropped out of another, and eventually changed his name to avoid confusion with other performers. At just 15 years old, Lewis created a record miming comedy act and began performing in burlesque theaters. His first appearance was a failure, forcing him to take jobs as a soda jerk and theater usher to make ends meet.
How do you do it in a dictaphone? How do you do?
If I tell you, you'll be doing it.
Refusing to give up, he returned to the stage after encouragement from promoter Max Coleman. During World War II, those early performances slowly began turning into the foundation of an extraordinary career. Because of a heart murmur, Jerry Lewis was unable to serve in the military during World War II. Instead, he continued pursuing entertainment, a decision that would soon change his life forever. In 1945, the 19-year-old comedian met 27-year-old singer Dean Martin at New York City's Glass Hat Club. Their personalities couldn't have been more different. Martin was smooth, relaxed, and effortlessly cool, while Lewis was loud, energetic, and wildly unpredictable. Together, they created a comedy partnership unlike anything audiences had seen before. The duo officially debuted as Martin and Lewis in Atlantic City in 1946. Their performances blended music, improvisation, and Lewis's outrageous physical comedy, quickly attracting national attention.
You know, it seems like We haven't seen each other for 20 years.
They became stars in nightclubs before expanding to radio and television. In 1948, they appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show, and 2 years later, NBC signed them to host the Colgate Comedy Hour. With talented writers, including Norman Lear and Ed Simmons, helping shape their material, Martin and Lewis became one of America's biggest entertainment acts. Hollywood soon came calling. Paramount Pictures signed the pair, and between 1949 and 1956, they appeared together in 14 successful films. Their popularity became so widespread that DC Comics even published a comic book based on their adventures. Throughout the early 1950s, they were everywhere: movies, television, live performances, and radio. But behind the scenes, growing creative differences slowly drove the partners apart. Their final nightclub performance together came in 1956 before each embarked on separate careers.
When he'd show up and park right in front of the big front door, my mom would get on the intercom and would say, "Your father's home," and we scattered.
The split left Lewis uncertain about his future. While vacationing in Las Vegas with his wife Patty, he questioned whether audiences would accept him without Dean Martin. Then, an unexpected opportunity arrived. Judy Garland was forced to cancel a performance after developing strep throat, and her husband and manager, Sid Luft, asked Lewis to fill in at the last minute. Although he hadn't performed solo since childhood, Lewis accepted the challenge. Instead of trying to imitate anyone else, he simply entertained the audience with stories, comedy, and songs from his youth, including "Rockabye Your Baby" with a Dixie melody and "Come Rain or Come Shine." The crowd responded enthusiastically, giving Lewis the confidence he desperately needed. Encouraged by Patty, he invested his own money to record the songs. Decca Records loved the results and expanded the project into a full album. The record became a massive success, climbing to number 3 on the Billboard charts and selling more than 1.5 million copies within just 4 months.
That was Frank. Frank took care of that.
Sinatra.
Yeah. He thought it was about time we stopped this nonsense.
Although many of his later solo singles struggled commercially, Lewis continued recording comedy albums, children's music, and novelty songs while steadily building his identity as a solo entertainer. That same year, Lewis began performing regularly at the Sands Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. The engagement proved to be another turning point. Critics praised his one-man act, and for the first time since the breakup with Martin, Lewis felt he had found his own voice. Television appearances on programs such as What's My Line and The Ed Sullivan Show, along with several stints hosting the Academy Awards, further cemented his popularity. Meanwhile, Paramount Pictures continued investing heavily in its biggest star. Lewis appeared in films including The Delicate Delinquent and The Sad Sack, while collaborating with director Frank Tashlin on several successful comedies. He famously turned down a role in Some Like It Hot, choosing instead to focus on projects where he had greater creative freedom. His contract with Paramount eventually made him the highest-paid individual talent in Hollywood, granting him unprecedented control over his films, including ownership rights that were almost unheard of at the time.
I knew I wasn't going to get anything, but the real sticking point, the dagger in my heart, is for the grandchildren.
By the early 1960s, Lewis expanded beyond acting into directing. He completed his acting contract before writing, directing, and starring in films such as The Bellboy, The Ladies' Man, and The Errand Boy, often working alongside longtime collaborator Bill Richmond. His ambitious productions featured elaborate sets built on the Paramount lot, while his television appearances, including highly rated guest hosting duties on The Tonight Show, proved that Jerry Lewis had successfully reinvented himself as one of Hollywood's most influential entertainers. By the early 1960s, Jerry Lewis had become one of the biggest names in American entertainment. Television networks competed to sign him, hoping he would headline his own programs. Rather than relying solely on acting, Lewis expanded his creative control by writing, directing, and starring in many of his own productions. His most celebrated achievement from this period was The Nutty Professor, a comedic twist on the classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story that remains one of the defining films of his career. Throughout the decade, Lewis stayed remarkably busy. He appeared in films such as Who's Minding the Store and It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, while also launching The Jerry Lewis Show on ABC. Looking to broaden his image, he signed with Columbia Pictures in hopes of taking on more dramatic roles instead of being seen only as a slapstick comedian.
I remember distinctly catching your eye and thinking to myself,
Alongside his film work, he made frequent appearances on popular television programs including Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, The Danny Thomas Hour, and the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. In 1972, Lewis's career hit an unexpected obstacle after The Day the Clown Cried was never released. The controversial project effectively ended his momentum in Hollywood, and he stepped away from filmmaking for several years. Even so, he remained a familiar face on television through interviews and guest appearances on programs such as Good Morning America and The Dick Cavett Show. One memorable moment came when he unexpectedly reunited with Dean Martin during a Las Vegas performance hosted by Frank Sinatra, delighting audiences who never thought they would see the comedy duo together again.
as I was embracing Dean, you were right over his shoulder. I'm thinking to myself, dear God, if Frank doesn't give me something to say, God, give me a line.
Lewis returned to movies in 1981 with Hardly Working. Although critics were unimpressed, the film earned roughly $50 million at the box office. The following year brought one of the strongest dramatic performances of his career when he portrayed a troubled late-night television host in The King of Comedy. His performance earned widespread praise and a BAFTA nomination, proving he could succeed outside traditional comedy. Throughout the 1980s and beyond, Lewis remained active across television, film, and live entertainment. He appeared on Saturday Night Live, Star Search, The Simpsons, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and The Tonight Show. He also directed television episodes, starred in several films, and made his Broadway debut in Damn Yankees. His final film role came in Max Rose, while one of his last television appearances was alongside Jerry Seinfeld in Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Away from the spotlight, Lewis's personal life was far more complicated. He married singer Patty Palmer on October 3, 1944, and together they raised 6 sons, 5 biological and 1 adopted. Their marriage, which lasted 35 years, brought Lewis stability during the height of his career, but it was also marked by repeated allegations of infidelity. Lewis openly admitted to numerous affairs during interviews and even claimed to have had relationships with actresses, including Marilyn Monroe and Marlene Dietrich. Another long-running controversy centered on Susan Minoret, a woman who believed Lewis was her biological father. DNA testing later suggested an 88.7% probability that she was related to Lewis's eldest acknowledged son, Gary, fueling speculation that Lewis had fathered another child during his marriage. In 1980, Patty Palmer filed for divorce, citing Lewis's repeated infidelity and extravagant spending. Their divorce became final in 1983. Years later, Lewis made the controversial decision to leave his children and grandchildren from that marriage out of his estate.
And we're embracing, and if you remember when we broke the embrace, I said, you working? It was like a gift from God.
His eldest son, Gary Lewis, publicly condemned his father, describing him as cold, cruel, and emotionally distant, claiming he rarely showed affection toward his family. Just weeks after the divorce was finalized, Lewis married Sandra Sam Pitnick, a professionally trained ballerina and former flight attendant. The couple had first met when Pitnick appeared in a small dancing role in Hardly Working. They married on February 13, 1983, in Key Biscayne, Florida, beginning the final chapter of Jerry Lewis's personal life. Jerry Lewis and his second wife, Sandra Sam Pitnick, adopted a daughter named Danielle in 1992. The couple remained together for more than 3 decades, staying married until Lewis's death in 2017. While his family life appeared stable from the outside, years after his passing, new allegations dramatically changed how many people viewed his legacy. In February 2022, Vanity Fair published an investigation featuring several actresses who had worked with Lewis during the 1960s, including Karen Sharp, Hope Holliday, Anna Maria Alberghetti, and Lainey Kazan. The women described behavior ranging from verbal abuse and intimidation to allegations of sexual harassment and assault. They claimed Lewis frequently used his influence and celebrity status in ways that made colleagues feel uncomfortable or powerless. The allegations generated widespread discussion throughout the entertainment industry. For many observers, they became another example of the culture that allowed powerful figures in Hollywood to escape accountability for decades. The women who came forward said fear of damaging their careers had prevented them from speaking publicly at the time. Although Lewis was no longer alive to respond to the accusations, the investigation prompted renewed debate over how his accomplishments should be viewed alongside the serious allegations against him. While controversy surrounded his reputation, Lewis also spent much of his life battling significant health problems. Many of his medical issues trace back to a severe back injury suffered during a comedy performance in 1965. Reports differ on whether the accident occurred at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas or during an appearance on The Andy Williams Show, but the injury left him in chronic pain for years. To manage the pain, Lewis became dependent on the prescription painkiller Percodan, an addiction that lasted approximately 13 years. He later said he overcame the addiction in 1978. In 2002, doctors implanted a Medtronic neurostimulator in his back to help control his chronic pain, and Lewis became a public advocate for the technology after finding relief. Heart disease presented another major challenge throughout his life. Lewis revealed that he suffered his first heart attack at just 34 years old while filming Cinderfella in 1960. His second heart attack came in 1982, followed by open-heart double bypass surgery the following year. Then, in June 2006, while flying from New York to San Diego, he suffered a third heart attack at the age of 80. Doctors also discovered pneumonia and severe coronary artery blockage, leading to emergency treatment that included the placement of 2 heart stents. Fortunately, Lewis recovered within a matter of weeks. In addition to his heart problems, Lewis battled prostate cancer, type 1 diabetes, and pulmonary fibrosis. During treatment for pulmonary fibrosis in the late 1990s, he took prednisone, a medication that caused significant weight gain and noticeably changed his appearance. Even as his health steadily declined, Lewis continued making occasional public appearances, determined to remain connected to the industry that had defined nearly his entire life. Jerry Lewis's final years were marked by constant health battles, but he rarely allowed them to define him. In September 2001, he was forced to cancel a charity performance in London after suddenly becoming ill, with doctors suspecting heart-related complications. Following a difficult recovery and the challenge of reducing his long-term use of prednisone, Lewis eventually lost the excess weight caused by the medication and returned to work. His health, however, continued to decline. In 2012, he collapsed because of hypoglycemia, and in 2017 he was hospitalized with a urinary tract infection. Despite these setbacks, Lewis continued making public appearances whenever he was able, determined to remain connected to the audiences who had supported him for decades. On August 20th, 2017, Jerry Lewis passed away at his home in Las Vegas at the age of 91. The official cause of death was end-stage cardiac disease complicated by peripheral artery disease. He was cremated, and his will sparked considerable controversy. Lewis left his estate to his second wife, Sandra Pitnick, and their adopted daughter, Danielle, while specifically excluding the children and grandchildren from his first marriage. Whatever opinions people hold about Jerry Lewis today, there is little debate over his enormous influence on American entertainment. From the late 1940s through the 1960s, he helped reshape comedy through fearless physical performances, innovative filmmaking techniques, and an unmatched willingness to experiment. Many historians consider him a bridge between the traditions of vaudeville and the modern style of cinematic comedy. As both a performer and director, Lewis constantly challenged convention. Rather than simply filming jokes, he used camera angles, lens choices, editing, music, and visual storytelling to create comedy in entirely new ways. His films often blended slapstick with surreal imagery, emotional vulnerability, and social satire, making them unlike anything else being produced in Hollywood at the time. His insistence on maintaining creative control also helped pave the way for a new generation of filmmakers. Long before independent filmmaking became common, Lewis fought for ownership of his work and resisted the rigid studio system that dominated Hollywood. Directors such as Mel Brooks and Woody Allen would later enjoy many of the creative freedoms that pioneers like Lewis had helped establish. International filmmakers also admired his work. French director Jean-Luc Godard famously praised Lewis for refusing to follow Hollywood's conventional rules, recognizing him as one of the industry's most original creative voices. Over the years, critics have continued to re-examine Lewis's films, with many now considering them among the most inventive comedies ever produced. Yet his legacy remains undeniably complex. To millions of fans, Jerry Lewis will always be remembered as the energetic comedian whose physical humor inspired generations of performers. Others believe the allegations that surfaced years after his death deserve equal attention when evaluating his place in entertainment history. Both sides of that conversation continue today, reflecting the complicated reality that extraordinary talent and deeply troubling accusations can exist within the story of the same individual. In the end, Jerry Lewis leaves behind a legacy filled with remarkable achievements, groundbreaking innovation, unforgettable performances, and enduring controversy. His influence on comedy is impossible to ignore, even as the debates surrounding his personal life continue to shape how future generations remember him. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Jerry Lewis's extraordinary and complicated life, let us know what you think. Do you believe his groundbreaking contributions to comedy should define his legacy, or do the allegations that emerged years later permanently change the way history should remember him? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you enjoy exploring the untold stories, triumphs, and controversies surrounding Hollywood's biggest legends, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upcoming episode. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.